Oh, hey, we are live.
Oh,
Hey, everybody, how's it going? So we're going to do this because, things got screwed up. So guess what? Here is our introduction now, and then we'll be right back. Got to start the show off right.
Bring me home, out alone, to show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard. I woke up after midnight once or twice. How did I get here?
Okay, welcome back. We're here. Sorry about that. We had a huge problem with StreamYard. It was telling me that my podcast is on at the same time as apparently everybody else's. So, but we're now here. We're good to go. We're being joined by Klein from Grant a Dream Foundation. Janet Hatfield, one of my dearest friends, known her for a while, and she's just a great friend of ours from Healing Warriors program. And one of my newest friends, Latoya, and I don't want to say your last name wrong. It's Zatala
Zavala.
Zavala. Okay, see, I said it wrong. So
No,
she
it's
is
all
our
good.
she's our inner power coach, and everybody here is joining us to just discuss what they do, and we're going to try to figure out some of the problems that are with society, and we're going to make sure that we're telling everybody about some of the great programs that are out there. And you and I have known each other for quite a while. We've been friends on Facebook. I mean, for years and years, and we've had a lot of communications. And you just started recently with Grant a Dream, correct?
Correct. I started a year ago now as the executive director after starting with them when they started 4 years ago. So it was a natural transition.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about what Grant a Dream does? I read a little bit about it, and I think this is wonderful.
Thanks, sure. So what we do is we grant dreams. We serve parents who are caring for their children who have disabilities and special health care needs by offering them a resource for relief from their chronic burnout and their day-to-day struggles that they endure. And we do this by granting a dream that is designed specifically for them and their circumstances.
Do you Does this go out to host home providers for certain things? Like, I know that my parents for almost 30 years took care of adults with disabilities and stuff like that. Is do you Are you aware of anybody who would help them? Because I know that you look. I told my mom many times that she just was one of my superheroes because I I think I'm a strong guy, but I could never do what she did for all those years.
Yeah, there are not enough agencies that work with the caregivers of adults. We get asked that all the time. We specialize in the parents who have children under the age of like 21 or 22. And because the founder of the organization, how it came about, she was a caregiver for 28 years to her daughter. Her daughter was born with a rare liver disease, diagnosed at 7 months old, and in and out of the hospitals, treatments. She had 2 liver transplants in her life. So she was just a constant caregiver. And when her daughter got married and moved away, she sat down and she really thought about it. It's like, oh my God, I have time now. And how did I even get through it like all these years? And she realized it was the getting away. It was, the downtime where for her, herself, her and her husband. and, different times that she could spend with her family where she wasn't caregiving and she could relax.
I think it's such a great program because parents do, there's a lot of times that when your parents hear about that, they, other people think, well, what's the difference? You're just caring for your kid. No, there's a lot more to it. There is a lot more. There's a lot more behind everything that you have to do. And I know talking with, some of my friends who had children with needs, that I watched the dedication to them, and you could tell just the heartbreak of every day because that your child's in pain. So what attracted you to going to Grant a Dream? Why did you make that shift and go to them a year ago?
It's interesting, I have a heart for caregivers. I understand the family dynamic because not that I was a caregiver, but I was the cared for child in the house. And that came about later on when I was 9 years old. And it changed the entire structure of my family. So I saw what it did to my parents and how they dealt with it. And I also saw, how my siblings who were younger than I dealt with it and ongoing to this day.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So I just knew that between what Anne brought to the table and what I brought to the table, we have a complete understanding of what's needed and what really helps in this situation. And when you look at the statistics, where 1 in 5 families today are caring for a special needs or a chronically ill child in your neighborhood. 1 in 5 families. I mean, look to the left and look to the right, and there's somebody there. So we are here to make a difference, just to give some relief, from the burnout that they're feeling. We can't solve everything, but we can solve a little bit that can really help them to face tomorrow and the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year.
Well, again, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful program that Ann started, and I think that you guys should, I hope that you guys have the best of luck with everything that you guys do. Ladies, please, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. We want to make sure that all questions get answered. And of course, all of our guests out there, if you guys have any questions, go on ahead and put them in the chat, and we will make sure that we ask. And that's of all of our beautiful guests tonight. So,
May I? Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's a phenomenal organization. I agree with you. Having been active duty and worked with families of this capacity, I agree with you that I hope that more organizations also come into play that can help people who are caregivers of adults as well. But I think this is a fantastic organization, specifically for those who are still active duty military, because organizations like this, because they've moved away from family. And so where there are a lot of times where you might have a grandmother, you might have, an aunt or uncle who might come over for an hour. When you've moved away like that, you may not have that. I remember when we first moved to Japan, and the first thing you had to do was fill out your, what do they call that form? I can't remember the name of the form right now, but you have to fill out the form for, in case you have to be deployed immediately, like who's going to be the caretaker family. And I had nobody to put on the form. I didn't know anybody in Japan, and I had nobody there, right? And so that feeling of, I am the only, and there's no reprieve, there's no support. And I can tell you that without, my husband and I were were what they call geobashing. We were stationed in different cities. And so I could tell you, if I didn't have support where people came and gave me that reprieve, much like what Grant a Dream does, you can't imagine what an hour can do for mental health that can keep you going for the next 2 or 3 months. Like it cannot be understated what 30 minutes or what an hour or what a day can do for someone who is just, required, and you do it out of love, but required to give and give and give and give so much. And sometimes, depending on, of course, the illness, you may not feel like you're getting return on all of that giving. And so what organization like Grant a Dream can do is amazing and fantastic. And I just would like to ask if Grant a Dream is localized, or do you have partners in different states, or how do you work?
Currently, we're just in Colorado, specifically in the Broomfield, Boulder County areas. We are growing our roots here so we can grow into other cities around Colorado, around the country, maybe around the world. That's kind of how we see it, because of the feedback like what you're giving us. It's just, it's a need that hasn't been met, and we're doing our best to meet it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it's a great program, and I as we mention all the time, these programs get started because somebody's trying to gap that bridge that, of all the things that they fell through. I know I started Community Pay It Forward because I didn't like losing everything. So with her discovering what this type of program, I think is great. What has been, just thinking back, what has been one of the most exciting to you reactions that somebody had after after granting them one of their dreams?
God, there's so many. There's so many. The before is the before, but the after is just what makes your hair stand up sometimes. But one of our caregivers, one of our first ones, who was parents to an autistic son, and we sent them actually on a cruise for a couple of days. They were able to get away, and they did that. And when they gave us their return testimonial, they just thanked us, of course, and they said, you know what, we're so grateful for this, because what we've realized is that we are better together, and we are getting through this. I mean, just that alone, because they go in different directions. Many times they have completely different ships. They're two ships passing in the night. They're only talking about what needs to be done in the house and the medical and the this. And when they can get away for 3 to 5 days, or 2 to 5 days, 7 days, and they can actually speak with one another from the heart and cry to one another and be real and raw and honest, that's where the beauty comes out. And when they come back and they say, this was exactly what we needed to move forward, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it truly, truly does. I love asking for people's favorite quotes. I think it tells a lot about them. I have to switch my quote every week, or people would get really sick and tired of Buddha. So, the one Buddha quote. But yours is, what you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make, from Jane Goodall. That's a great quote. Why is that important to you?
Because when you do where your heart comes from, it makes everything work, in your world, in your universe, and people feel it, and you're real, you're authentic, you're doing what you're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes it takes a while to get there.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I tell people all the time that, I started this company 7 years ago. In the first 5 years, I screwed up every way possible, but I did a lot of it on purpose because, I wanted to make sure that we were getting it right. So, yeah, it took us a long time to get where we're at. And so we're pretty proud of where we're going. Uh, and I want to thank you again for coming on. I really hope um, we that you stick around and participate and ask any questions that you may have. Do you guys have an Gatsby Poker Night coming up? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, we're doing our very first poker night. The theme is Gatsby, and we're hoping a lot of people will come dressed in that attire. I've got my dress. I'm super excited. Woo, really excited. But, it's just a different fundraiser that we're doing. It's going to be 8 poker tables, 2 blackjack tables. We've got a professional MC who's actually a professional auctioneer who's going to be, engaging through the night. And, it's one of our signature events that we plan on doing year after year. So this is our first one. So we're hoping that people will come. It's going to be at the Broadlands in Broomfield on April 2nd. It starts at 6:30, so come about 6.
Well, that's great. We're going to go on ahead and we'll end up putting that on the pACT calendar on Community Pay It Forward. pACT is we all come together, so make sure that whatever you guys have, you guys send to us, and we're going to go on ahead and share all of this. But again, thank you, Ann, for joining us. It's been a long time since we've talked, and I greatly appreciate it. And please make sure that you ask any questions. You're more than welcome to stick around and have some fun. Again, congratulations on what you're doing. I think it's beautiful. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Janet, how are you doing?
Always good. You?
I'm a little bit better now that we're on Facebook, but we're on the company page, not on the podcast page, because the podcast page recorded 7 seconds of darkness and then said it's ended. Took us 20 minutes to get on there, and then it only showed for 7 seconds.
Look at the bright side. We came out of the darkness, and now we're here, so we're all good.
Yeah, and then it just kind of surprised us. It's like, you are live, and we're live. We were ready to go live now.
We're always ready. We're ready to pivot at any moment. It's all good.
That's right. So, Janet, you're with Healing Warriors program. And you guys' offices are in Fort Collins, but you guys mainly do the work. Well, I got to visit your offices, and they're wonderful. You guys run programs for veterans. Why don't you go on ahead and give us the explanation? That way I can stop talking.
So we are a veteran nonprofit. We're a registered VA vendor and a GuideStar Platinum charity. Our main mission is suicide prevention for veterans. We do free non-narcotic integrative treatments that are really targeted towards suicide prevention by treating veterans, their spouses and partners, and also their parents for PTSD, for traumatic brain injuries, for interpersonal trauma, for chronic pain, and for sleep disorders. We have our clinic in Fort Collins, as Zach mentioned, but we also do monthly pop-up clinics in Longmont, Denver, and Colorado Springs, also at Buckley Air Force Base for active duty when we can get on Buckley, and also up at Warren in Cheyenne.
That's great. What kind of, can you go on ahead and get into a little bit deeper what kind of treatments you guys have?
Absolutely. On the VA side of things, as far as the referral portion that we get from them, we do acupuncture, we do craniosacral therapies, and then we also do healing touch therapies. We have different series and programs that we do depending on what that veteran needs. So we have a sleep series, we have a PTS series, we also have a detox series, because it's been shown and found that a lot of courts are starting to lean towards acupuncture for detox, for DUI cases, and for opioid addictions and those kind of things. So So we do craniosacral healing touch and then acupuncture. We have specific programs for just our seniors as well, which is a senior health and wellness and safety program that we do, where we send them home also with a safety kit on top of having different modalities of treatment for them to help them with everything from neuropathy to balance issues to memory care to those kind of aspects. We probably have programs for a little bit of everything. We have a suicide prevention kit that we send out with gun locks, with actually magnets that would go on their gun safes that you can put a picture of your family or your dog or whatever will
Wow.
cause you to gap when you have that thought. It's that one picture, and it may be something different for everyone. It may not be family. It may be your dog. It may be whatever. Whatever keeps you grounded in that second, the magnet makes a big difference sometimes. So we're doing everything that we can to keep people with us. Anna had a great line the other day that said someone else had shared with her, where the number 22 does not seem like a big number to anybody until you start talking about veterans that are losing their lives. And right now it's at about 38, I think. It's not even at 22 anymore. So that's what we're there for. In whatever way possible that we can bring these people that have just gotten themselves so frustrated with either the systems that they've been in that they can't get the help from, or just a different way for them to get help without being on 18 different prescriptions to do it.
Right.
One of the things that really frustrates me, Janet, and I wonder if you hear it from other people, it amazes me that they take and they give people who have an addiction problem, they give them a prescription of something that gets them addicted.
Yeah.
Do you have that frustration from other people? Because
Oh, absolutely. And that's a lot of why they come to us, because they see that what we're doing is all non-narcotic, and it gives them the chance to do their pain management. I mean, when you try to pain manage with an opioid or with a prescription, no different than anything else, your tolerance level just keeps going down, up and up, and then you keep having to medicate more and more, and you're not solving the problem. You're literally just masking, you're throwing a Band-Aid on something. So we're getting down to the root of the problem and where the pain is, and managing that in a non-narcotic way, and even through self-guided imagery. I mean, all of the integrative treatments and therapies that we have were all developed by military doctors or nurses. So that's why we have the protocols that we do. We have efficacy and data on every single one of these. We have won some major awards because of the work that we're doing. And it's not just some weird voodoo work that somebody's trying to pull off. These are things that work. When someone walks in, we are forever gauging what is your pain level, what is your anxiety levels, what are you when you walk in, and then where are you when you're walking out. And generally, if it's around an 8 when they walk in, they're down to about a 3 or less when they walk out after an hour. We have a guy that I interviewed who was on 18 different prescriptions when he started with us, and after a few months, he was down to 2. So that's what we're there for.
Yeah, I'm so very. Can I say something, Zach? I'm so
Absolutely.
very grateful for this program. I think what you're doing is amazing. I was a chaplain in the military, so we reveal myself, and so I worked with lots and lots of active duty veterans, family members. And know the number 22 very well. And in the Navy, what we used to say when I used to do my briefings is one is too many, right? No matter where the number is going, one is too many. And so that was our, kind of battle cry. And the frustration wasn't even so much that it was just, another prescription or more prescription. It was that it was not paired with the deeper healing and the deeper help, right? Exactly. It was like, and I don't mean to, believe me, I'm hoo-yah all the way, but the frustration is that the thought process is, let's get him back in the fight, let's get him back in the fight, let's get him back in the fight. And so that does not lend for the pairing of the deeper healing or even the various modalities. And don't get me wrong, it's not that there aren't any, it's just that there's not enough of, and there's not enough support for, so that so that as many people as needs it can get the help. And so I'm so very, very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also when I used to teach, suicide briefings, assist. We did assist and safe talk, right, by Living Works, and which is amazing, and it also works. But what I love about your program is that that the safety plans that are created are also coupled by like the kit, like with the magnets and so forth,
Yep.
that we don't have to create it every time, that
Right.
there's this beautiful kit that can be personalized for the people. And so I hope that also that your program is replicated and duplicated, and
Working on it.
I would love for, something like this to be on every base, at least the information, because they need the help. They need the help,
And
Janet.
they need the understanding. The understanding is the biggest thing too. And that's why we don't only treat the veterans as well. We treat their spouses / partners and their parents, because no different than Ann was talking about, the family unit and the caregivers. We have that in the veteran community all the time. We have
Oh
caregivers
yes, absolutely.
for many of them. And
Absolutely.
so we don't isolate just the veteran and say, okay, we're only going to treat you, when this person has been on 9 different deployments, comes back and maybe has a ready-made family by the time they're finally out that they didn't have the whole time they were being deployed. And now they have to reintegrate and deal with all of that, along with the family trying to deal with what they're dealing with. So it's a
Right.
family unit type of a thing for us. We need to be able to understand that every era and every service branch went through something different all the time. It's not
Yeah.
cookie cutter, because
Right.
World War II, they went through frostbite. Vietnam went through Agent Orange. Now all of the latest wars are all TBIs, because all the equipment got better, but you still can't protect the brain that much. It's still
Right.
housed in there, and it's still getting beat up with percussive injuries. So
Right.
we understand that the majority of what we deal with on Afghanistan and Gulf War and a lot of those wars are traumatic brain injury people. So we get it, and we're out there trying to educate even the other medical communities that are out there. We've done videos they've asked us to do videos on helping educate the medical population on how do you treat a veteran, how do you talk to them, and what questions to ask so that you're giving them the right treatment on the civilian side of things, not just a specialized place like us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm
Yeah.
all about repeatable and all of that. We're working in that direction, slowly but surely. We've been around since 2013, and everything that we can do to keep expanding and growing this. Capital campaigns coming next year, or in the next 2 years, to at least own our own building, and then we shoot off from there some more. But right now, it's the pop-up clinic method that we've developed is we can stand up a pop-up clinic in 15 minutes and be ready to go. And we're treating everything from active duty to homeless to you name it at our pop-up clinics. Anybody that wants to walk in there whenever we're there once a month, and we're always at the military posts for all of our pop-up clinics. And we treat as many as we possibly can. We do shorter sessions to get them sort of a toe dip, to experience what we have. And like I said, just walking in, they get 3 free sessions right off the bat, and then we figure out what's the program that's going to work best for them. We want them to tell us, what do you want from us? And we have client care navigators as well to bridge those other gaps that they may have, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's employment, whether it's housing, whether it's tires for their car, whether it's gas, whatever that may be. So we're not only, helping them on that level, because that level can't get helped if you're not also helping the underlying gaps that there may be. I mean, if they're stressed out about their housing or their finances or whatever else, that's only going to exacerbate what else is going on. So we're trying to solve a lot of things at the same time.
That's such a great point, because that's one of the things that I've always told people, Janet, that after my accident, what happened with me was, you start losing everything because life has changed, and you hear from everybody that you need to relax, you need to take it easy, you need to do all this. Well, you're watching everything that you own go out the window because
and fall
you're
apart
letting
around you.
Yeah, and it becomes one of those things where your life is in a complete and total chaos People are telling you to relax, and you're like, go, and that just upsets you.
Makes you not
Right.
relax.
Right.
You're like,
Right.
well, you relax. I'm freaking the hell out.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't easy for us. So,
Yeah.
you guys offering that, I think, is just another, just one of more of the great things. You shared with Community Pay It Forward some winter kits. And I know that we took quite a few of them to the Northern Colorado Veterans Resource Center, and they just, kids in the candy store, they were
Yeah.
just like, woo, 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 we're taking them, we're taking them.
Yeah.
So it was a great thing. But
Yeah, we did comfort and joy kits for the winter, and then like right now we're doing victory garden kits, so it's literally gardening kits for the veterans, because that is huge therapy for the veterans. When you give them seed kits, I mean, it all comes from the victory gardens from World War I and World War II, and it literally has seed packets and a trowel and a hat and things to get them outdoors, because if they can plant their own food, it's huge therapy for them. Isolation during the pandemic was horrid on the veterans, and we made sure that we were doing care packages to them, boredom buster kits, anything that we could to keep them engaged when they couldn't go anywhere. We implemented telehealth for everything that we could do telehealth for, and the gardening kits go over huge. I just went to Pam Vets a couple of weeks ago up in Loveland, and we gave away, I think, 50 gardening kits and probably at least 80 more blankets. And yeah, they snatched them up hard. I mean, it was like within minutes, everything was gone. So that's what we want.
I was actually at Pam Vet this weekend with
Oh
Bart.
yeah, oh dude, I missed you. I was there just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we go up there quite a bit to visit with Bart from
I love
Heroes.
Bart.
Yeah, Heroes Honoring here, Veterans Honoring Veterans.
Yep.
Yeah, Bart's a great guy. He's a great friend of the company, and just a great friend personally of us. So.
And then Brad Hoops, also with Honor and Remember, is always up there as well. And the Klein.
Yeah, I know my old writing group, the VFW Warriors, is up there quite a bit with Bill Esch, who just congratulations, Bill, on getting your honor this weekend. But you have a couple events that are coming up.
A lot.
Can you go on ahead and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, like Ann, I mean, we're doing a casino night as well. Ours is on April 29th, and it'll be at the Fort Collins Marriott. And I threw the links out there for tickets and for sponsorships. So that's our first one. And then our next one is our 5K run, which is May 22nd at Spring Canyon Park, which is where Veterans Plaza is. We're good friends with those guys too. And so we're having our race up there right before Memorial Day. We didn't want to get in the middle of everybody's Memorial Day runs. So we're kind of skirting in between everybody. And then our next one is our golf tournament, which will be in Erie at Colorado National. That one's on August 22nd. And then our last one for the year for right now, unless we throw something else in the mix, is our Denver Gala, which is at the Denver Aquarium on October 8th.
Well, I don't want to be mean or anything, Janet, but we're not even at summer yet. Let's not talk about fall.
I have to, though. When you're the event.
Oh, I know.
Like, yeah, even though it sounds like it's a long way away, it's not.
It never
for me,
is.
So never is. No.
Never is. Yeah. So, you've got your guys' mission statement. We exist to interrupt the factors that lead to service member suicides. Our mission is to improve wellness of veterans and their families through non-narcotic care. I think your guys' mission statement says it all. Just great. I think it nails it, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, and your quote is, "Compassion is the wish to see others free from suffering," and that's from the Dalai Lama. Such a beautiful quote. What does that quote mean most to you?
I think for me, because I myself am not a veteran, but I come from a veteran family. My dad was a retired lieutenant colonel in World War II and Korea. I was married to a Vietnam vet. My mom was actually a civilian in the Air Force. So I've got a lot of military background as far as that part goes. But I've lost two very close military friends to suicide. So I've seen the suffering, and I see it all the time, with the veterans that we have coming in a lot of times, and freeing them from that. I mean, having them from the time they walk in, when you see them, and then when they leave, it's night and day. And that's the joy of what we do, to see someone walk out of there. And especially some of them are just cards. I mean, you know how the older vets can get, and these guys are like the grumpy old, grandpa guy. It's sort of like the grandmas in Ukraine right now who are literally going up to, the tanks and going, "Brr!" That's how some of our guys are. But to watch them leave and have a smile on their face and just be so cute. I mean, giving them, we have school kids that will do thank you cards as well, that will stick in care packages or send off to our veterans, and get letters back or calls from the wives who say, okay, so he's like big grumpy old man guy, and he got this card from this little kid and he bawled like a baby, and it's up on our fridge now. That's the parts that I love about it.
Well, that's just yeah, Jeremy, this is a great one. Let's get off my lawn.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, get off my lawn, guys. Got it. That's it.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that I always get to. It's so funny when people, we do something and somebody will start crying, and that my first reaction is going, oh man, I stepped on her. I mean, that's what my first reaction. I'm a big old fat guy, and oh no, I just stepped on her. I didn't mean to, and so yeah, I mean, it's amazing that how when you touch somebody in that way, it's such a great feeling, and it's it makes you feel good, but then it also makes you sit there and go, look, I did this because you are you. You need to understand that we do this to help you. So, but
and every crotchety guy at an outreach event, I mean, they'll come up to you or they'll start walking by. Don't make eye contact. They don't want to make eye contact, and I'll park them in there, and they're like, I've got nothing that you can help me with. I'm like, really? Okay, tell me. And it's always something that I can help them with. So it's those guys that are like my biggest triumphs when it comes down. Because then it's like I get them in the door, and then they're like, okay, you've helped me.
Yep, I understand. So, but Janet, thank you very much, and we're going to get back to you here in a little bit. Hey guys, we need your help. A lot of you guys know that we have what's called the Community Cares Cub Club, which is where we're trying to teach kids that it's not difficult. As Janet just said, it's not difficult to get your kids to helping people. So we need your help, though. We're trying to redo the comic book because we're no longer, or the coloring book, because we're no longer just in Colorado. We would love for your art to help us make a difference. If you can go on to this form right here and help us design the Cub Club coloring book, it would be greatly appreciated. Let your art change a child's life. Make sure that these kids understand that, if you do some art, if you write a letter, if you do something like that, you can really, really make a change in somebody's outlook. You can help somebody have a better Christmas. And we have kids take and design poster boards, and we put those poster boards on the side of collection boxes during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then, the kids are so excited that they're going to take grandma and grandpa and say, see what we did, and of course that's going to get grandma and grandpa to drop off toys or clothing or food items. So we need your help to design these color books to convince kids that, giving isn't all about working hard. It's about putting a little bit of thought, putting a little bit of care behind it, and it can be a lot of fun. So if you have any artistic ability whatsoever, get with us. Kids, if you want to do it, we'd love to have your pictures, but we need mom and dad's permission to print it out, okay? Because we want to tell everybody who drew this wonderful picture. If we don't use your picture for the coloring book, we're still going to print them out on coloring pages on our website. So please get with us, draw a picture, help us change kids' lives. Help us get kids, give them that smile that every kid gets when they get to color, when they get to be creative. So help us out and do some drawing for the Cub Club. I would greatly appreciate it. And right there's the job form. If you're looking, if you need it somewhere else, you can always find it www.communitypayitforward.us. So we hope that you can help us out. So once again, Janet, thank you very much. Give us your information real quick on how people can get a hold of you.
The main phone number is 970-776-VETS. So pretty easy. It's 8387 for those of you who don't want to try to figure out the letters on that one. And then our website is www.healingwarriorsprogram.org. And you can find everything about us. There's a new client form there if you're ready to get some treatment if you need it. And otherwise, we're always available for questions.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate it so very much. And
Thanks,
please
Zach.
stick around until the end. Latoya, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And I'm grateful to be here.
Well, I'm very
Thanks.
happy that you're here, even though some loser didn't get you the link until about 10 minutes before. And then he gets you on here and you're 20 and it takes us 20 minutes to get on. So, but thank you for being so patient with me. We
For
just
sure.
recently met through the Happy Neighborhood Project. Tell people a little bit about, well, first off, thank you very much for your service. It's greatly appreciated by myself and my family, and we just really want to say thank you for everything that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about your wonderful mission, because it truly is an inspiring mission?
Oh, thank you. So hi, everybody. My mission is, if I could put it in its simplest form, is to help women who have come from a toxic relationship. And I define toxic relationships as toxicity that came from an intimate relationship, or a relationship with your family, or a relationship with an organization, which can be toxic, or a relationship with a particular religion or denomination, which can also be toxic to you. And so people who come from that and they're doing well in their lives, they're having success, they're achieving, but they're still having triggers. They're still having these limiting beliefs, these blocks in their lives because of that relationship. And so they just can't seem to get over it. Maybe they've tried and they have gone to, clinical therapies in other places, but it just didn't work for them, or they're just not wanting to go that route. They're wanting to try something different. And so that's where I come in and I help them. I am a life coach certified, and I also bring in what they call emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. And that uses some of the same pressure points that acupuncture uses with tapping to help release a lot of those blocks and triggers. And then I also use Reiki, which is energy healing. And I can do that hands-on, or I can do that by distance, which will be probably more likely for those who are listening to this podcast. And so we combine those three things to really, truly release, which needs to happen first, so that they can then move forward, that they can then create the lives that they want. They can recreate their identities. They can recreate the ability and strengthen the ability to love themselves, know themselves, trust themselves, believe in themselves, and believe themselves, which is different, and be themselves completely, holistically, and fully. My mission came from the fact that I myself am what I would term victim turned survivor turned thriver of domestic violent relationship and sexual assaults and other various abuses in the early part of my life. Some of them very traumatizing and very drastic. I won't bring them up here for triggering prevention, but I went through a lot of that in my life. And so I also went through some modalities that because of where I was in life and because of some certain things, they didn't really work for me. And I felt like I fell through the cracks. Fast forwarding, I wanted to be part of the solution. So I entered the Navy as a chaplain and was a chaplain for 10 years. And the two reasons I entered the military as a chaplain is because I wanted to be a part of a non-clinical solution, to be a part of the solution for people like me. Specifically, my mission, my focus was to help people with suicidal thoughts and those who were coming from traumatic relationships, domestic violence, sexual assault, those kinds of things, which I did. And I did so with I did so, and I helped also people with broader spectrums of trauma and where they came from. And I did that for 10 years, and it was my passion, it was my joy. I love, 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 love helping active duty members, veterans, their families. But I really have a heart and passion for the women who were experiencing sexual assault and domestic violence while they were in the military setting, because I know the focus and the mission. A lot of women I felt were really not getting the amount and the depth of care that they need, and having gone through myself, knowing like intimately, right, the depth of the care that's needed, specifically when it goes to trial and the outcome is not what they were hoping or what we would think it should be or could be because of whatever technicalities, this and that and the other. And now they're left with all the residue, and sometimes having to process out of the military, and then like the whole host of things that comes with that, right? Not having the support and the community and all those things, and then are processed out without getting the care and the depth that they need from a trauma that came when they were in. So it really, as a chaplain, having worked with them and not being able to complete the process in those particular scenarios was just like weighing heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier in my heart, until I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I must be a part of the solution. And so fast forwarding, then I processed out of the military myself so that I could be direct from me to client or consumer, and then just really focus on getting these women complete holistic healing and help that they need. And so in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Well, no, it's not. Is that what do you do with your spare time?
You did not want to know.
Yeah. So, I introduced you to Leslie Bradshaw because she's another one of our partners, another beautiful person who took an experience that was negative and turned it around, because once again, providing a bridge over something that you fell into. We were you and I have been talking, we've all been talking about the veteran suicide rate, and you dealt with that a little bit. One of the questions that we asked on the 22nd is, how do you approach somebody? How do you start the conversation? What question would you ask to start the conversation, to ask somebody, hey, are you okay?
Mm-hmm. So, and I think Janet alluded to this a little bit earlier, right? So when you ask that question, are you okay? Someone who is a veteran or active duty, their immediate answer is going to be what?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm okay. I'm good. Of course I am. Right. Always. Right. And so always ready. And I gave the same answer. So it's not really how you approach or what you approach, it's the reapproach, right? It's the being willing to take the no and know that no is probably not true, right? So it's being willing to stop and look in the eyes.
Yep.
It's being willing to pause. I remember asking the person, are you okay? And they said, yeah, of course. And then I said, okay. So how are you really?
Mm-hmm.
And right, and then just that, the tears, right, like the bawling, just the pause. And you think about it in our American society, right? And I used to talk about this a lot when I was doing suicide prevention. When you ask somebody, hey, how you doing? It is just rote for us. Like, you don't even stop walking when you say that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? And you keep walking. Nobody is actually expecting an answer, and we all know that. And especially when you're looking at someone who is expected to wear the uniform or be the spouse that's always ready, always faithful, always there, always protective, always doing for the family, then that is the front that they are always going to portray, that they're taught to portray, that they're expected to portray, that they feel proud of portraying. and sometimes that they feel they gain strength from portraying. And so it really is, again, about the time, taking the time to reapproach, taking the time to pause, taking the time to say, no, I'm actually expecting an answer this time, a real authentic answer this time. And,
Yeah,
and I
taking the
care
time,
about the answer.
right, and taking the time to listen. Sometimes just engaging in a normal conversation with them will bring out so much of really what's going on instead of just asking, "Are you okay?" I mean,
Right.
I was just taking over and helping out in the lobby one day, and just normal conversation with one of our clients, and the entire thing started to roll out, and I had to sort of give a heads up to everyone in the back where this lady was, and where her head was at, because it's not always going to come out even in the first part, because they're very tight, and it's just normal conversation. How's your day going? Sometimes, and that'll lead into a whole lot of things that you weren't expecting sometimes. It's just a matter of listening and knowing some of the signs that you're looking for.
Let
Right.
me ask Ann the same question here. Ann, do you get the same response from a lot of the parents? Do they say, "Oh, we're doing fine," but you know that they're not?
Yeah, they'll always say we're fine, we're good, we can handle it. But what came up as I was listening to this is when we are getting ready to grant a dream to a family, we go to their home and meet them, and we have a whole slew of questions in order to design this dream for them. And it's all about them, what they're looking for, what they want. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times for them to put themselves first. They won't put themselves first. It always goes back to, their children or the child, their circumstance. And I'm like, no. This is for you. What does a getaway look like for you? What does downtime look like for you? What hobbies, have you missed out on, that you'd like to participate in? Do you like to sculpt? Do you like to bike ride? Do you like the water? Do you like to hike? It's like, because that's what we want to design for them. And they feel so guilty.
I can tell you, I was dealing with a woman when I was in active duty. It took us 2 months for her to be able to answer that question. What do I like? And I will tell you, when I was in and referring people to organizations like yours, it would take several sessions to help them to be okay with even reaching out to an organization for asking,
putting
right?
themselves first. Putting themselves first just is not in their
it's not. It's
not.
And honestly, right, it's like, how could it be, right? Particularly when we're dealing with veterans, right? The whole mission is serve others, right? Community, serve others, service, right? And so now you're like, what about you? And you're like, well, I mean, is there a me? What do you mean, right?
Who are you talking about?
And what happens with our group too is that they always feel that somebody else deserves it more than them. It's like, no, give it to the guys that really need it. So we get that a lot.
And I was going to say that. So personally, when I was exiting the military and I had my my VA evaluation with the psych, and I told her, and as a chaplain, I knew it even as I was saying it, but I said it because I had to say it, right? That I feel guilty even being in this chair. Because I know, right, about the veterans who are suffering X, Y, and Z. And there's always going to be another veteran who is suffering X, Y, and Z that's worse, and yours that deserves more. Which is why in my coaching sessions, I go through 7 C's of inner power. And the last one is completion. And I get a lot of questions about that, but because the act of completion is an art of healing itself, because, and particularly women who are parenting, especially, even when we complete, even when we achieve, even when we've succeeded, even when we've accepted Anne's help or we have accepted Janet's program, the guilt, the weighing, the shame of
undeserving.
having the undeserving, the unworthiness lingers even after the said achievement, success, acceptance, right? And so that art, that it's the 7th C of what I do is completion, right? The ability to heal enough to actually enjoy the completion of whatever it is that we're working
buyer's
on.
remorse, but it's like acceptance remorse.
It's accepted, right? Exactly, in various different ways. And so, and we could probably talk all days about how many different avenues that comes from, right? But yeah, it's layered.
Oh yeah,
it definitely is layered.
I mean, we deal with a lot. I mean, we touch on a lot of what you do as well. I mean, because we do have treatment series for interpersonal trauma. So we're on the heels of, you know, sort of what you do as well on that aspect of things. And ours is for male and female because trauma happens to military personnel no matter what.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
It could not even stem from their military service. It could just be something that they carried into it or were going into the military to escape from sometimes.
Right. Which is very often the case, by the way.
Exactly.
Very often the case. Yeah. I totally get that. And when I was in, I absolutely, the breadth of it is astounding. It just so happens that from my experience and my heart, particularly, with what I saw when I was in, that's where my heart is. And so that's why my focus is on the women who come from that.
Oh, exactly.
Because of the layers of, when we talk about the layers, right? What they receive in trauma, but then societal, religious, spiritual, right? Community, tradition, cultural, right? Sometimes it's very heavy and lopsided when it comes to what females and women experience.
So one of the, I just wanted to share, you know, it's kind of sort of, wow, really interesting, this conversation, loving it. Because one of the things that was shared with us by one of our partners that we draw caregivers from, that we grant dreams to, what they love about us is the fact that we don't care, and there is not, and it's very clear. There's no economic boundaries. There's no racial boundaries. There's no cultural, religious boundaries of a caregiver and what they go through. I mean, we have given dreams to people who have had 5 children, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, that's a single mom, to people who live very well off, but it doesn't mean that their struggles are not the same.
Right.
You know,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And
it's beautiful.
Been a very, that's been a way for us to really feel incredibly good for what we do.
Yeah, and remind me after the show, I've got a connection that, and I know that you only work in Colorado, but I'd really like for you to meet Jeremy York. He's the founder of Things, which is a paranormal group, but his daughter is on the, his daughter is a low functioning autistic patient who, I think that if you could talk to him about what you guys are doing, maybe he could take and kind of work from where you guys are going. And maybe he's in Indiana, and he was just in a really bad accident where he was at work and something happened at work and it busted up his face pretty bad. And I know that right now, one of his major concerns is his daughter. And it's exactly what we're talking about here. Jeremy needs to take that time to himself, but he's also going through that same thing where workman's comp is telling him, you're not eligible for this, you're not this. And
you're not worthy.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Janet. They're making him feel terrible because, well, they're not in our system.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in your system until, this thing blew up and destroyed my face. Why do I have to work
Right.
with your system? It
And
just one
Right.
of
welcome to
those
what the
things.
veterans go through every day. I mean,
Yeah.
half
Oh,
of them
yeah.
can't get into the system even though they know they're disabled or their percentages aren't high enough. I mean, yeah. So they're dealing with that struggle at the same time. I mean, it's like the system is old. It has not been updated in God knows how long on any level, no matter what system you're talking about. It doesn't grow with the needs of its communities ever. So that's why organizations like us are in existence.
Yeah. Hey,
Right.
Latoya, let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
And I know that this sounds like a question that it's kind of one of those questions like, oh, okay, your son just died. Here, stick a microphone. How do you feel? I know it's
Mm.
kind of one of those questions, but when you approach a female veteran, how different is the question to start the conversation between female and male?
Oof, that's a big one. Um, it is very different. Um, and that is just the truth. It is and it isn't, right? It isn't because we've been in the system, right? And so we have been trained and taught, okay, we're all green or we're all blue or whatever the color is. And so that is going to be the front, right? That's going to be the face of who we are until you get to the authenticity, right? Till you can break through that, and then it is different. And it's really important for the male person to say, I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm not I'm not you, right? I can't imagine, or I can just imagine, right? It's really important to give honor to the difference, because there is a difference, and only a person who has been there and under it can really fully 100% know. And even then you don't know, right? Because every individual has their own story. So it's really important, because the experience is different. It just is. And the acceptance of that can open a door, right? The empathy of that can open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, ladies, I'm gonna tell you something. This has been such, we've still got to about 14 minutes left, but I just want you all three to know I appreciate every single one of you guys so much. You guys have made this such a wonderful show. And Adam, if you're ready to come on, just let me know. We've got one other guest who is actually wanting to talk about one of our great partners, but that's when he's ready. Latoya, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah. Let me um, send me my email. That's probably the easiest way. I'm
Okay.
also on Instagram and Facebook, pretty easy to find. But that's my email, and I'm willing to have a conversation. I do scholarships for veterans and their families, absolutely, and willing just to have the conversation and just be that connecting heart.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
like I said. It's beautiful. Your story's beautiful, and I thank you so much. Be the change you want to see in the world, as from Gandhi.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your quote?
Yeah. So, right, I shared a little bit about my story, right? That what I went through, and then I was like, I want to be a part of the solution. And I think for me personally, I really just resonate with what he said. It's not enough to say, man, that's really, I'm a veteran, so excuse me, that's really effed up,
Right.
right? It's not just enough for me to say that, man, that's really effed up. When I have something that I can do about it. And so whatever that is, whether it's just be a voice, that's why I started the podcast, because I was like, there are conversations that are not happening. So let's have the conversation, right? And so um, to whatever little bit, I love what you all are doing, the foundations and this podcast and paying it forward, right? Just every little bit is invaluable. in our part to be the change. And if everyone just does their little bit to be the change, then there will be change. And I believe that with all my heart. And I'm willing to be a part of that change. And I believe that. And it's not easy. I don't mean that it is easy. I don't mean that it's not courageous. I don't mean that that it's painful sometimes. I don't mean that, all of that, right? And so it's hard sometimes to make those choices, to be, not just say or write, but to be from inside out, to be the change. And it requires some introspection, and it requires some self-healing, and it requires some looking in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
It requires some of you will get your own stuff right, so that you can be from the inside out the change.
Well, again, and I'm sorry I didn't get to everything. Time constraints are what they are. Who gets to define trouble, trauma, and hard times? This was one of the things that you wanted to make sure that we bring up.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love that question, because, and it was something I wanted to touch on also as Janet was talking too, right? Because it's very easy, particularly for veterans. We touched on it a little bit, right? To say that, well, TBI, absolute definite trauma, right? Domestic violence, absolute definite trauma. But there are things that happen to people that maybe larger society or larger psychology, it may not fit in the exact definition, but your body and your mind registered it as trauma.
Yep.
And so that means that you have triggers, you have behaviors, you have thoughts, you have energy imbalances, all these things, because your mind and your body registered that whatever that happened to you, that effed up thing that happened to you, was not right. We didn't like it, didn't sit well with us, didn't align with us. And it caused some disturbance. It caused trauma, it caused illness, sickness. And so I just want to encourage you who are listening, that if you are having these disturbances, you can't sleep, you can't eat, something's going on in your body, it's messed up, you're having triggering thoughts, you're having, these blocks, you're having limiting, you have fears, you have suicidal thoughts, right? And you're thinking, oh, but what happened to me is not trauma. I want to encourage you that nobody gets to define trauma for you, like in the real world.
Yep.
Your mind and your body gets to define that, and you are worth getting to heal that, whatever it was that happened.
Well, that's great. Again, I thank you so very much for coming on the show, and I hope that the people in the program get to see more of you in the very near future. You and I are going to hopefully have a conversation here real soon. Hey guys, we're going to take a real quick second to share something with you. I know we shared it last week, and there were a lot of people who really enjoyed this very short video. This is from a great friend of ours in the Happy Neighborhood Project. It only takes a second to change your life forever. So please watch this real quick. It's the great message.
It takes a second to fall in love, to find your soulmate, to achieve glory. It only takes a second for everything to change.
In a split second, I looked down and my life changed dramatically. Now I want people to know the real outcomes of distracted driving. Please don't drive distracted. It's a second you wish you could have back.
That is seriously one of my favorite, PSAs. Just because I know her personally, and I know I've seen, what she goes through, and I thank Molly for her courageous efforts and everything. And other than cash, what can people donate to Grant a Dream to help you guys out? Of course, we want cash. What is there anything else that people can donate to help you guys out?
We're always looking for services. people who can donate their professional expertise. Of course, social media is huge these days. All kinds of professional expertises. We're also looking for organizations that want to partner with us, because not only is 1 in 5 families have a special needs in their home, 70% of those families where both parents work. So in organizations, that's where I really believe we will start to make a huge impact. And it just will be a trickle out effect. So if organizations, and small to medium sized organizations where the employees, find one in your organization and let's rally around them. Let's, you raise for them. Or if you don't know of one and you have a heart for this, there's not a shortage of families that we can help.
Well, again, that's great. And we've got your website up right now. How did they get a hold of you if they have any more questions?
They can reach me at my website, or I should say at my email, which is acline@grantadream.org, or phone me, text me at 720-551-7941. Look at all our social media. If you want to really see an impact of what we're doing, definitely go to either our website or our YouTube channel where we have our before and afters. I promise you, it will warm your heart.
Well, again, Anne, I thank you so very much for joining us today. I loved hearing about what you guys are doing. You guys are doing such fantastic work, and I do thank you so very much. Janet, you're up. What can people do in our communities to help out Healing Warriors?
Everything under the sun, from exactly what Anne was saying. I mean, we want to be connected with other organizations who don't even know they have veterans working right next to each other. I mean, HR departments are huge for us. Use this as a resource for your employees because we can make a stronger workforce. Sponsorships at our events. Donating your time. If you have PTO programs for volunteering in your companies, send them our way. We can always find things for them to do. Trust me. We also have a list up on our website for Amazon of items that we're always in need of when we're sending out care packages to take care of our folks. So there's tons of ways. Go to our donate page and you can see all the different ways of donating time or resources, services. Cash is good. I'm all into small, unmarked, non-denominational bills. I'm good with that. So,
no monopoly money, though, right?
I have no problem with anybody hollering at me in a parking lot and throwing money at me. I'm good with that too.
Well, Janet, how do they get a hold of you one more time?
Our clinic direct line is 970-776-VETS. 8387, or it's healingwarriorsprogram.org. If you want to get me directly, you can go 970-232-9037.
And folks, remember, Healing Warriors is one of our mission partners. So if you shop with any community pay it forward fundraising partner, all you have to do is download the app, find Healing Warriors, and give us your receipt. These businesses have agreed to give us a referral fee to send business to them. They give us the referral fee, and 80% of whatever they have decided to give us goes to Healing Warriors. So make sure that you just adjust who you shop with. That's all we're asking. We're not asking you to round it up to the nearest dollar. We're not asking you to do anything extra. Snap a picture of that receipt, send it in to us, and tell us we support Healing Warriors, and 80% of whatever that company gave us is going to go to Janet and her wonderful volunteers. What's that?
I said me personally.
Yeah, you personally.
Make
I
the
love
check
you,
out
sweetie.
too.
I love you, sweetie. I don't think I love you that much.
Oh, come on. The other two ways also is Amazon Smiles. We are also on there and also through Kroger, so King Soopers. So if you shop through King Soopers or if you shop on Amazon, you can also donate to us every time you shop without even having to lift a finger.
That's fantastic. So, Latoya, how do people get a hold of you?
Latoya's at latoyazavala.com and my website, latoyazavala.com. Super easy. Again, I'm on Instagram or Facebook, and yeah, that's how you get a hold of me. And my Facebook group, Release That Ish Power Circle, is absolutely free. We do tapping Tuesdays, and so we do free tapping sessions for people to just start to learn and get those tools to help them release in their lives and in their own situations.
Oh, that's fantastic. And one more time, can you tell us about the poker tournament?
The poker tournament will be April 2nd at the Broadlands Golf Course in Broomfield. And we are looking forward to a full room of fun people.
Exactly.
Looking to support caregivers.
Maybe so.
There you go. And Janet, give us your whacked. We all come together.
Oh, here we go. Casino night, April 29th, Fort Collins Marriott. May 22nd, 5K run at Spring Canyon Park. August 22nd at Colorado National is our golf tournament. And then October 8th at the Denver Aquarium is our gala.
No, that's great. Thank you. And remember, everybody, we're working real hard with Brian Gibson for Project Die Hard and Hope Stock. That's going to be July 29th, 30th, and 31st. Project Die Hard is working really hard on a one-stop solution to try to help veterans who are thinking about taking their lives. It's a place for them to live. It's a place for them to get the counseling they need, the medical that they need, the repair from credit, and a background repair. Hope Stock is a great program, and it's going to be a 3-day event. Go in for live music, food. I almost said live food.
Okay.
Oh, which is also a thing.
Yeah,
That's a totally
It's a thing.
we had to go to a counseling thing the other night, and one of the questions was introduce yourself and tell us what kind of food that you like. And of course, my answer was, well, available. I love available food.
There you go.
But anyway, hit up projectdiehard.org and you can find out more about it. Go to our website and go to the 2Save22 tab, and you can learn all about more about the sponsorship packages and everything else. Please make sure that you get a hold of Ann and Janet and find out how you can sponsor their tournament, participate in their tournament, do anything you can. And of course, ladies, reach out to Latoya. She can help you out. Hey, everybody. Once again, ladies, great show. Thank you so very much. Sorry about all the difficulty getting started, but it was well worth it. I had such a great time. Remember, everybody, love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. It's not difficult to help somebody. Nobody has to go it alone when we all come together. If you have an extra blanket, extra hoodie, extra something in your house no longer fits you, throw it in your car. Give it to somebody that you see is struggling with the cold. It's not going to hurt you one bit, but it's going to make somebody's life a hell of a lot better. If you have some leftovers that your family, you're not going to eat, throw it in an old butter bowl, hit it in the microwave, and drop it off to somebody who's suffering from hunger. Once again, not going to affect your life at all. Going to make a huge difference for somebody else. So my name is Zach Clayton. I've been joined by Latoya, by Ann, and by Janet. Please watch this again. Make sure that you get with them. Make sure that you do your part. Because if you're not doing something, you're doing nothing. Let's make sure that we get together and we all come together and help some people out. Once again, join us next week. Next week, we've got a couple wonderful, wonderful guests. We've got... I got the list right here. We've got Robyn O'Connell, who was supposed to join us today, but she was unable to. She's all the way from Australia, and she helps out families who lose an infant, helps them with the burial of the infant. We're also going to be joined by Kimberly Diaz, one of my longtime partners. She helps you get your aging parents into great stay home. And if you have to put them into a facility, helps them get into the facility. And then Steve Palick from Auxilia, a great program for nonprofits. If you run a nonprofit, please join us next week and check it out, because Auxilia, I swear by it, it's a great donor system program. It's wonderful, wonderful. Ladies, again, thank you so very much. I hope to talk to you guys all very, very soon. But thank you again.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank
you, Zach.
Thank you. Once again, folks, I'm Zach Clayton with Community Pay It Forward. Have a great evening.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home, out alone, show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.